today we are going to essentially do the W. What the heck am I doing? The W episode, but it's all The Who, so we're doing The Who today. 1970 brings us The Who live at Leeds. This is their iconic live album that they put out. It's since been released in The Who are kind of, I feel like The Who and The Doors are like those two bands that have put out so many different versions, so many greatest hits, best of, unreleased albums, different versions, deluxe versions, remastered, etc., etc. And this is no different. The Live at Leeds, I know the original version here, which I have on a vinyl. This is not the original, but this is like a reissue that they put out in probably like the late 70s, called From the Superstars Super Savings series. So it probably came out, at a cheaper price. But this is the original version of the album, which only had like 6 songs on it: Young Man Blues, Substitute, Summertime Blues, Shaking All Over, My Generation, and Magic Bus. My Generation's like 15 minutes long. But and this, again, this is like the Super Savers version that MCA put out, this series of that they put out kind of like, in the late 70s. And so I think the original version of this maybe was a gatefold and opened up and had a bunch of little bonusy kind of stuff in it. 'Cause I know the CD remaster I have of it has some of that stuff in the CD, but this is like no frills. It's got the record in the sleeve, and that's it. But this has been reissued on different versions where they extended the concert and put like more of the show, or released a whole complete show on CDs, maybe vinyl too, probably at this point. It's mentioned as like one of the greatest live records of all time, and rightfully so. It's a great album. It's kind of showing the band that, I'm firing on all cylinders. 1971, we get Who's Next, another Superstars at Super Savings release. I got this pretty cheap at Low Fidelic Records in Belmar. I think I got it for maybe $5. It's in pretty good condition. Great album. This was going to be the famous Lifehouse project that Pete Townsend has worked on forever and ever to try to piece together, and never really pulled it off. So they just kind of like pulled some tunes that he was working on and created this album, which is a classic album. Cover's really cool. It's almost like a greatest hits, essentially. Bob O'Reilly, Bargain, Love Ain't for Keeping, My Wife's Song Is Over, Getting in Tune, Going Mobile, Behind Blue Eyes, Won't Get Fooled Again. Most of these are familiar to you if you listen to any kind of rock radio. Going Mobile is my favorite tune. I love that song, just that kind of open highway kind of jam. 1978, we get Who Are You? The final record with the original lineup here, because Keith Moon would die, I think he might have died before this album came out. He might have died right before this was released, actually. I don't know the exact, I know it came out in 78, but I don't know the exact release date. And of course, the famous thing here, he's sitting on the front cover on a seat that says "Not to be taken away," and of course he was. Great album. What I remember about this album when I was growing up is my brother had the picture disc, which I finally found in a record store in Alaska and picked up. And that's in another video. You can check it out that I posted. But this is an awesome record. Again, new song, Had Enough, 905, Sister Disco, Who Are You, of course, the title track. I really like it. I feel like that first side of this is great, and then you got a couple more tunes on side 2 that are really good. 905 I really like, and I think John Entwistle sings that one. It's not Roger Daltrey. But those first 3 tunes, New Song, Had Enough, and 905 are great, and Sister Disco, it's awesome. 1971, we get the compilation Meaty, Beaty, Big and Bouncy. This was always kind of a cool little cover, because you have these 4 kids who are supposed to kind of represent the band, and then you got the band looking out the window, and it almost makes you feel like this is a real picture of them hanging out when they were kids, but they knew each other when they were younger, but not that young. But then, of course, you know, you flip it around and those same four kids are looking out at the band, you know, sitting on that stoop. And this opens up this little picture here. The Railway Hotel, which I think is where they played their first shows back when they were probably called the High Numbers. I picked this up at Angry Moms in Ithaca maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but when I was younger, I remember having the cassette of this, and I would play basketball in my driveway, and I would have this on my boombox playing. I would just listen to this like all the time, having this playing. It's a great compilation. I Can't Explain's on here. The Kids Are All Right, Happy Jack, I Can See for Miles, Pictures of Lily, My Generation, The Seeker, Anyway, Anyhow, Anywhere, Pinball Wizard. My favorite tune is A Legal Matter from this, which I kind of forgot all about until when I had like most of the CDs, and then I didn't have My Generation, and I finally picked up My Generation and heard Legal Matter, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot all about that song. It's my favorite tune, but great compilation. This is probably one of the best. They've put out a lot of compilations, but this is still my favorite one. I think originally the title was going to be Who Look Back or something like that, but which plays into this artwork, but I don't know, whoever came up with that title, Meaty, Beaty, Big and Bouncy. Cool. 1981, we get Face Dances. Kenny Jones is now in the band. They're now recording for Warner Brothers, and they put this out, and I got this off of eBay right when this is one of those, I've said it a bunch of times, like when I first got the record player, you know, there were like maybe 5 to 10 records where I was like, oh, I want to get those, and this was one of them. And you know, I think the fans are kind of, you know, divided on this album, but I love it. This was released in 81, and that was right around when I was first really getting into music, first buying, you know, my music on my own. And I remember buying this cassette, and I'd be like mowing the lawn in the summer, and I would, you know, the lawn was big. It would take me like a good hour or so to mow the lawn, even on a tractor. And I would just have this in my Walkman, listen to it over and over again. I love this album. I'll defend it to the end. And picked this up on vinyl, and I went, and I think this has been reissued on like probably Polydor or whatever records, probably 180 gram or whatever, but I kind of went old school and grabbed the original Warner Brother release and got all the pink things on the back here. And this has the poster, I think. Well, here's the sleeve. Yeah, the poster's in there. I think this was sealed when I bought it, actually. I think I got it. It was brand new, and there's a poster included. It's basically just, I don't want to open it all, but, oh, it's weird, I will. It's the artwork of the album. I remember my brother had this when we were growing up, and he had this hanging on his wall. You Better You Bet is the big single off of this. Quiet One, Daily Records. Album ends with You and Another Tricky Day, and both of those songs are awesome. This album ends on a great, great note, and all these different artists, they commissioned all these different artists to paint these portraits of the band. Really cool. I love this record. Shoot me, I don't care. 1974, we get the Bootleg, Tales from the Who. I inherited these. I got this and a couple other bootlegs I'm going to show. These I all inherited from my brother. He had these in his collection back in the 80s. He was a big Who fan. I became a big Who fan. That was my first favorite band a little bit later when I got into Van Halen, and they became my favorite band. But this I always thought was cool. It's like an old Tales from the Crypt or a Creep Show kind of cover. When I was, you know, younger and I started getting into music, I remember thinking this was like an official release. I remember telling my neighbor Darren, like, you know, the cassettes I wanted to pick up, and I remember saying, oh, I want to pick up this and this, and I want to pick up Tales from the Who. I thought it was like a real album, but it's not. It's pretty popular, I think. Bootleg that a lot of people are aware of. I've even seen this on CD, but I think it's like really expensive. I don't know. Maybe the sound quality is pretty good, but let me see. Does it say? It doesn't say, so I don't know what year this concert that's on here is from. But you know, Tales from the Who. 1978, another bootleg. We get Live at Swansea. Got Pete on the cover there. This is from June 76. Pinball Wizards on here. I'm Free Bob O'Reilly. Again, I think this is double. maybe just one LP, but I really haven't listened to any of these. I have them in my collection because I got them from my brother, and I've just never put them on. I mean, I've collected some bootlegs. I have a lot of Van Halen bootlegs, but I've never really been, that into bootlegs to listen to them. I have no idea, especially back then. I think a lot of the stuff was like the recordings were like kind of basically audience recordings, so you get a lot of that, audience noise and stuff. From 1980, we get the unfortunately titled Stampede. This is from the infamous tragic concert in December of 1979 in Cincinnati, where all those fans were trampled to death. You all know that story, I'm sure. The band played the show. They didn't know what had happened until afterwards, but this is the concert. And it starts off with like an interview with Pete Townsend. I've never listened to this again. I don't know if that interview has anything to do with the tragedy that happened. But I might pop this on just to take a listen. Not so much to the concert, that feels like a little bit morbid, but just the interview. And there's an epilogue here, which I wonder if it's just them kind of, acknowledging what happened this night, which is really sad. It's a double record. Again, I got this from my brother's collection, inherited it. He bought all these like bootlegs. Probably there was a store by us called Platypus that was kind of one of our go-to record stores. I'm guessing he got this from them. They were kind of one of those kind of mom and pop shops that would stock bootlegs. You wouldn't necessarily find these in Tower or Record World or whatever, but those little mom and pop shops, you'd find things like this and imports and promos and stuff. So that's my Who collection on vinyl. I have a bunch of their stuff on CDs. Used to have all of it on cassette. Got rid of those a while ago, but by all means, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and all that stuff. And I would love to hear you in the comments talk about your Who collection or your impressions of these records. And thanks for watching, like I said, and we'll see you next time.